morning, afternoon, night. This is We Are Not Prepared, and we are your hosts, Byron
and Mark Ivy. Dear Jesus, please give me the power to talk.
Welcome to...
Are we live?
Yes.
Oh, we are?
Yeah.
Hey, we are not prepared show. Sitting in for Mark Ivy is Byron's grandmother, Ethel. And I've fallen and I can't get up, Byron. If you hear this voicemail, I'm on the floor and I'm wrapped up in my 100-foot phone cord, Byron. And there's jello everywhere. Please come. How old's your grandma, Byron? Like 200?
Well, she would be pretty old if she was still living. But I will tell you that if you knew my grandmother, she would crack up at that what you just did. She had a wicked sense of humor.
My great-grandma used to get wrapped up in her long phone cord.
Did she?
Yeah, my grandma.
Walking around.
Yeah.
We
it was
used to,
so long.
Now, my mom worked in the evening, and she didn't want us going outside at night when she wasn't there. So we had like this 100-foot phone cord, and I would pull the cord all the way out to the like front yard. And we would be down the block, and I would hear the phone ring, and I'd haul it like for
that's great.
And pick it up, and she goes, "What are you doing?" "No, nothing."
So you really had a long phone cord?
Yeah.
That's funny.
Yeah, in those days. Well, good morning, good afternoon, or good night, whenever you're listening to this, or good Kwanzaa. Anyway, we have a guest today who is like petrified to be here with us, but we're glad you're here. Amy, I want to be a millionaire. Million, how are you?
Amy, million.
Hello. Thank you for having me.
You're much more sweeter on air because before we clicked the red button
she was
on.
Demanding, wasn't she?
Where's my fidget thing?
She needed a fidget thing, water.
My water! This isn't Fiji!
It wouldn't have been Fiji.
What is this, recycled plastic? I hate the environment. No, Amy loves the environment, I think. Do you love the environment?
Oh, yeah.
Good.
Yeah, we should be nicer.
Yeah, you're a nice person.
You seem nice.
And you have 3 kids, 3 children?
3, yes.
One's in the Army.
Yes,
Marines.
Xander is, Army, Oklahoma National Guard.
Now, why did he do the Army? Because you were a Marine.
Mm-hmm.
Hold on, so you guys know each other?
Yes.
How?
For a little bit.
Well, she's wife number 2.
Oh. What a man! I know this is not prepared, but I wish I was prepared because that's a big day.
No,
nice to meet you.
She is not.
I did not know that.
You were asleep.
She was asleep during the wedding. I had a priest come in. Did she say I do? Yeah, she was snoring. That was yes.
I don't snore.
Fast forward, Bill, because she said I do. Sorry.
So anyway, so you have. So your son's in the Army, but you were in the Marines.
Yes.
Was it heartbreaking to you that he went in the Army instead of the Marines?
No, as long as he didn't do the Air Force. That was fine.
My father-in-law is an airman, just retired. Chief Langford. Why not Air Force? Too big of paper pushers?
It's just, they all have different mindsets, different mentalities, and different missions, but he wouldn't have fit in. Mm-hmm. So.
Now, were you a badass when you went in the Marines? Just in your own mind?
No.
No?
Not at all. I don't think so.
What drew you to... Well, real quick before I forget, the day of 9/11, I was in 6th grade, and we had a substitute teacher, and he was a Marine. He was pissed. And he was, before
that he was telling us like Marine jokes, and he goes, I'm sure you've heard them all, and I know it's like kind of a dad joke, but he said, what's the difference between a Marine and an airman clearing a building? An airman makes sure he turns off the lights, and a Marine makes sure nothing's breathing.
Pretty much.
Anyways, what drew you to be? Is it in the family or?
No, I mean, we have a lot of military in the family, but I was the only one. I thought I was the only one to choose Marines, and then once I enlisted, I found out my great aunt was a Marine.
Wow.
So the only 2 women were Marines.
So how old would your great aunt have been when she joined?
She was in the reserve band during World War II.
Wow.
So she did that.
Now, was boot camp hard for you?
Yeah. It was terrible.
Was it?
Yes, because I was not an athlete. Like, I barely passed the physical fitness test to go.
And then suddenly you're climbing mountains and...
Well, that's interesting. So the
Very
physical
terribly.
part is what
It was terrible.
but not the mental. You could deal with the yelling and the...
Oh, yeah, that was easy. That was easy.
The yelling was easy. I would have broke
I-
down crying.
I would have laughed. I would have a hard
No.
time not laughing, and then I'd have
If
to do
you
a
go
million
prepared
push-ups.
and you know that nobody's out to get you, that's just what they have to do to train you.
Now, when did you go? How long ago were you in the Marines?
8 years.
Ago? Mm-hmm. So,
Oh, not ago. I was in for a total of 8 years. I've been out for 20 years this year.
So not a lot of women were in when you went in.
No, when I enlisted in the Marine Corps, only 5% were women, and now it's up to 8.
I bet when your great-grandma was less than 2.
It was less than.
Maybe
Yeah.
1.
And they put her in a band.
What do you mean?
She was a musician.
They put her
Okay.
the band, see.
Oh, the band. I thought you like in a van. I was like,
No, she
okay.
was in a band.
Then they put her in a band.
What'd she play?
French horn.
Okay. Any issues with the men, your brothers in arms?
You could tell us. We will tell no one.
Like what issues?
Like, just
I mean,
were you ever like
Harassed.
or not like?
Well, that's everywhere.
I'm not asking like sexual. Just did you ever have to say, hey, enough, or did you ever think about having to express your, discomfort to anyone? Not that you had any. I'm just.
Or did you just punch them in the nose as hard as you can?
Yeah.
I mean, all of the above.
Really?
I mean, it's everywhere.
You did a nose punching?
I don't think so. I mean, it's possible, but I don't think so.
You might have punched someone in the nose.
No.
Did you find yourself trying to, like, if, everyone talks locker room talk, guys being guys. Did you ever find yourself like catering towards like I'm being horrible and I'm being prejudiced against what I think a Marine is, but my Marine buddies are all what I'm basing my judgment off of.
I mean, you're not wrong.
Yeah. I remember, so my brother, his roommate was a Marine, and I remember getting to go up and stay with him at college, and, they'd be drinking and stuff, and I'd be like, what is that noise? It's like 1 a.m. It's like, it's Tuke and Barrett headbutting. These 2 Marines were just hammered, just like, go, yeah, douche, yeah. And so that was like my first experience of a Marine.
I totally believe it. I
And he would
totally
take,
believe
this
it.
is TMI. My brother would say, hey, Jason needs toilet paper. Go give him. He's using the restroom. I'm like, I don't want to. He said, go give him toilet paper. He just yelled for toilet paper. So I ran in, toilet paper, opened the door, and he's sitting, going number 2 with a gas mask on. And I was like, this is the craziest Marine I've ever met.
I think yeah, they're all crazy. We're all crazy.
I have a million more Marine questions, but just I do stand up comedy sometimes. I haven't done it for a little bit, but
No one laughs.
no one. Well, this is what this story is about.
Okay.
I'll be quick. So I'm at Othello's Italian restaurant in Norman. They do they have an open mic Tuesday nights, and I had done it 4 times prior to this night, and it had been 4 great experiences. Right. So this time I'm feeling like, this stuff's easy. Bombing, what's bombing? So a female Marine goes on before me. I've never seen her, don't know her history, but later that night I did see like people sucking up to her. She tours a little bit. So like she's on another level. Had no idea. She was working stuff out. It wasn't hilarious, but she's working stuff out, right? It eventually will be. I get on stage right after her, and I decide to say, I was like, this gal's a Marine. I got a better chance of being a Marine than she does. And I have my cane up there. I'm blind. I think that's funny because how's a blind guy going to be? But it got taken. Crickets. No one laughed at all. And sweat just started pouring down. And the rest of my 4 minutes were just nothing but crickets. And then, to make matters worse, since this is my first time there, I couldn't find my way off the stage or my seat. And so like now I've bombed, not only bombed, I can't find my seat. So like I'm tinking my cane around and the host is like, all right, next up, tink, tink. Next up is tink, tink. Could someone help him? And I just like sit there like,
Because
so anyways,
you said that you couldn't be better than her?
Don't make fun of veterans is what I'm saying.
Yeah, especially Marines probably.
Right. It was just a taste. I learned my lesson that night. And I love our troops.
Greatest gift that you got from being a Marine that helps you today, you think?
Tenacity, by far.
You are.
Yes, very.
Oh, because I know Amy, and I tell you, one of the things I like about you is if I got in a fight, not physical, but if I just got in a fight, I just think you would be somebody great to have in my corner.
Mm-hmm.
When you go to like restaurants and stuff, do you evaluate where you're sitting? Like, do you sit next to exits or like, are you always aware of that stuff?
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I mean, I don't know if that's just from being a Marine, if that's just me also.
Okay.
I mean, but yeah, I got to put my back to the right place
This must
where it's
not
going to
be
feel off.
pretty good here because we have you in a closed-off room.
Yeah.
Yeah. That locks from the outside.
Padded room.
Yeah.
I'm in a padded room already.
And I've already
You are in a padded room. Right?
Nobody's going to come out with straitjackets.
and I've already peed in all four corners, so don't even think about it. Hey, I have a personal. It's kind of nosy. Have you ever dealt with PTSD?
Yeah.
So I have some. I'm sure Byron has some questions on that too. But that's just a fascinating thing that when I read and listen. And the Daily, the New York Times, their little morning podcast yesterday had a segment on like 20 minutes on veterans lobbying for psilocybin to deal with PTSD and some other psychedelics. It sounds like a thing.
They should. They should. The research is there. So.
Do you have any experience with that? I don't know if you can answer that. I don't know who your employer is. Wink, wink once.
We will tell no one.
Yeah.
That's the
We will edit that out.
Yes. Interesting. So you believe in that
Yes.
should be available.
Explore everything. Let them. They want to.
Explore everything.
Mm-hmm.
That's the key. That's that's it. Explore
I mean,
everything.
isn't that the real issue with everything right now? I think the whole world should take shrooms.
Yeah. No, like, but
yeah.
It's funny, but
agree.
explore everything that's a freeing thought, you know?
And we're going the opposite way where we want to ban everything.
Well, it's just like prohibition, and it doesn't work.
Yeah.
I mean, but all of the research on psilocybin started in the 60s and into the 70s, and it was only the war on drugs that stopped it, but really just put it underground. But they halted all of that research.
Right, 50 years ago or so. That's exactly what they said.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that there was some real, and then Nixon came out with the war, and it all went away.
Yep.
It became an underground thing, and then a lot of the Vietnam War and the protests just got linked to really those protesters on acid, and it created that effect, you know.
Well, and now we've just created this enormous market.
Right.
So, like, now how do you stop it?
Yeah, I mean, for some of these, I don't mean to be dramatic, but it's like a tragedy for some of these veterans who could have something. It's like it's just a oversight of power, really. Like the whole crack thing. You got folks. What's the deal between it's crack and cocaine, and they were giving them sentences for the same, even though one was like way less than the other, but just because of the name crack, you know what I mean? It's like that type of, it's like, how do you miss the ball like that?
Money.
So,
Re-elections.
leaving drugs for just a moment.
Sorry. Byron's getting antsy.
No, I am not. So when people say things like to you, thank you for your service, like complete strangers, but
You're cheating because we've already talked about this.
did we?
Yes.
But I forgot. What did
How dare you be prepared?
Yeah. You're cheating. You came prepared.
Son of a! You swore we would never be prepared.
But you have to remember, I don't remember things, and then they like pop in my head again. So,
yeah, I want to hear
you
it.
conveniently forget where you heard them.
yes, it's gonna be.
No, that's a new thing that started after September 11th, and I just think it's annoying. I don't want to be thanked for my service.
How do I thank you though? Because
Vote.
Okay, but you don't want me to let you know that
It's just, or maybe I just don't feel like I did anything. So.
But I mean, okay, so really, because we could do the same thing. We could come to you and go, Mark, your father, thank you for your service. Or your wife, thank you for your service. Or the guy that's serving our Chick-fil-A, thank you for your
my pleasure.
So, yeah, that would be weird for me too.
It
Well,
just
that's a
feels,
different-
It just feels weird.
But that's a different thing. I know what you're talking about, but like the Chick-fil-A guy, the wife, they're all doing that. And yeah, they made a choice to, but you made a choice to put your life on the line. I don't care what you did over there. You joined.
I didn't go over there.
Okay,
I didn't
but
go.
you could
I
have.
went to Japan and had the most fun ever.
Well,
That's an awesome experience, but you didn't know
Yeah.
you were going in to have the best time ever. You were going in to serve our country, and from the way I understand it is, when you sign up, you don't know exactly where that's taking you, but you're signed up for it.
I mean, probably not for me, because when I enlisted, women still weren't doing a whole lot. We were still not in combat, and in the Marine Corps, we were just starting to fly. This was in '95, and I mean, I had a really good recruiter, so I was prepared, but I had a guaranteed contract, and I knew I was going to be aviation because that's what he suggested, because I would be more protected there. It would be good. It wouldn't be in a bad environment, and he came from aviation also, so he knew. And I had the scores to get there. So I had a guaranteed contract. So I knew where I was going and then I'd be fine. But
So
my main...
you're a spoiled veteran.
I mean, maybe. But I was also his only female recruit that made it through boot camp. And then I made it, I was accepted to an officer training program.
How many females were in your boot camp?
I don't even remember. I mean, there were like 60 in each platoon and 4 platoons for a battalion.
And out of all the platoons, you're the one?
No.
Your platoon.
Yes.
Okay.
No, I mean, there's a whole women's battalion in Parris Island, South Carolina.
Okay.
So, but still not very many. But then the officer training class, I was one of 5 women in a class of 85 that was chosen over all of the applicants in the Marine Corps.
And you said 8 years of service? Mm-hmm. What did you have a hard time finding your way back into just civilian life?
Not really.
Life's just a breeze for you, huh, Amy?
Because
I'll
I
never
was
thank you
in
for your
that.
service. I don't like your service. No, I'm just kidding.
I got to phase kind of into it because when I was in that commissioning program, I got to come back home and go to school at OU. So getting paid active duty pay and going to school, and I was in my hometown, so I was kind of half and half.
And then it got really hard for you. You had to go to Japan and drink sake.
I did that before.
Oh, okay.
I did that before.
Were you there during the earthquake?
No. I don't remember. I was in Okinawa.
Okay.
So Now, your children were born after you got back?
Yes.
Okay.
Where's the name Xander come from? One of my favorite baseball players is from Aruba, Xander Bogaerts.
I got it from the movie Triple X.
Vin Diesel?
Vin Diesel.
Oh, Monkey Man.
So then you came back, and so you have like 3 wonderful kids, and your son he's serving now. So the one thing I've learned talking to you this morning is I am not going to thank him for his service when I see him. And just go.
He'll probably do the same thing because he told me yesterday, he's like, I still haven't seen any, like, this is weird. He's still not sure about it yet because he's tried to say he wasn't seeing any benefits from it yet. They haven't really done any training. So he's just starting to go to the drills.
See, I would just be taking advantage completely. Like, they go, thank you for your service. And I go, could I get a seat up closer to the pilot, please?
He got a free meal at Land Run. They went to Land Run after drill in their uniforms, and somebody paid their tab. So he thought that was cool. He hadn't experienced that yet.
It's really interesting when COVID first hit, and the nurses, everybody was doing the same thing with nurses and going, thank you for your service. So I remember one night going over to our hospital, and because when everybody was locked down, and
I think you probably should be thanking the nurses.
But I did. So we were honking our cars and saying thank you because they couldn't leave the hospital and they'd wave. And so it's so interesting because about 6 months, you go 6 months in the future of that. And then people are like having all these violent attacks towards her. And so it's just interesting watching how the entire public sentiment change from thank you for your service to why the hell are you making us wear these masks in these hospitals, and so it's just interesting how public sentiment changes, and how one day people can be saying thank you for your service, and then the next day they could be pooping on your head saying
No, you're totally right. I mean, I've even seen veterans complaining about still having to go into the VA hospital and wear a mask for others.
Yeah.
So it's
How's your experience with the VA?
I love it.
Yeah?
Yeah, the VA.
Every answer or every question I ask you, not that anything's wrong, but it's not what I think you're going to say.
Yeah, I'm kind of.
This is why we are not prepared.
My boss out at Tinker, when I started working at New View, we had a 16-person job site out there, and he was a Marine. And he was on the phone with the VA because he hadn't got his check for 3 months. And I just hear him in the office next to me going, I'm not dead. I'm talking to you. Like they had said he died, and he wasn't getting his check or whatever every month. He's like, I'm not. He's like always complaining about the VA, and I hear people, whether it's long waits or whether it's, the whatever it is. But you're saying your experience is great with it.
It hasn't been perfect, but I can't complain about it at all. I mean, they've been my primary health care for almost 20 years.
Amy, I want you to...
It's refreshing.
To look at this, that you are trying to keep a positive attitude about life. Mark is trying to rain on your parade, and so he's complaining because you're positive.
But it's a breath of fresh air. I love you're not wrong, Byron. I will get you to hate your life by the time you lose.
There are days I do. I mean, we should have done this last week.
The VA thing, it goes to show you need to talk to a lot of people because it's a different experience for
you need
everybody.
to talk to a lot of people anyway, and that way you know who to call when you have something
Ghostbusters
that you can't fix. Yeah.
I ain't afraid of no ghosts.
And so this will feel worthwhile to you, Amy. You are a financial planner, and if people would like financial planning, you should talk to Amy, especially you kind of gear towards helping females, don't you?
Yes.
And so why?
I specialize in divorce.
In divorce?
Yes. because I learned through, I just went through a pretty terrible one, and it lasted for way too long, and it didn't have to be like that. So now I've helped women process the qualified domestic relations order, which split retirement plans. I've always done that, but it was always on the back end after the divorce. And in dealing with mine, I learned that you really do need a financial neutral to help you see. And attorneys don't know everything. They don't know everything about splitting assets or valuing retirement plans or even projecting a future cash flow and net worth. So I figured out I had to go to California to find what I needed.
Wow.
So I've discovered, that there is a designation for it, and I've already taken a family from start to finish without any court filings and divorced and saved the house and credit scores and everything.
Save so much money too.
That's it. I mean, I provide my clients with the most affordable way to stay out of the family court system.
So, to get in touch with you, do you have a webpage?
Yes, go to my webpage. It's millionwm.com.
Click the link below, everyone.
Yes, there's a divorce-specific page, divorce analysis, and I also do tax preparation and regular investment management and advisory.
Okay. I might let you do my taxes.
Thanks.
One question.
You're not a woman.
Oh, yeah. Sorry, I will be tomorrow.
We have lots of men, too, but, most of the men that hire me, it's to take care of their wives.
Okay.
So,
one question before we get out of here is so if someone gets divorced, the whole 50-50 thing, is it ever 50-50?
No.
And I'm
no.
not talking about like children, I'm money wise.
No, and I think it's important to realize that to have a financial advisor or analyst help you look at this and knowing how to split retirement plans with certain tax implications and how to avoid those, the divorce might not always look 50-50 in order to make it equitable. So equal is not equitable.
Equitable, Byron.
Our word for the day
is equitable. For Amy Winehouse Million. For Jackie Chan, I'm Chris Rock. You've been listening to This is the Not Prepared Show, but Byron has one more thing.
I'm not. I'll just be quiet over here and say good night, everyone.
Good night, everyone. Do shrooms.